Oh, good morning, Moshe. Okay. We're going to start from Mishnah. Mishnah on Lamed Gimel. Out of the Bible. And second of the wide line. What are you going to say? You want to arch?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Lamed Dalet. I'm sorry, Lamed Gimel Lamed Bais. B'nai Tzedukim, the daughters of the Tzedukim were the people that didn't follow the rabbinic the rabbinic traditions and the oral Torah.
Oh, I was about to say you get over here quick.
So these women, if they follow their own traditions, not the rabbinic traditions in the oral Torah. So Hareim Kikutiyas, then they have the same status of the Kuti, the Samaritan wives, which was that they make things tamei, they're considered a nida, because they don't calculate properly. The Karayim would like to believe that they're Tzedukim. Karayim started in the 800s around. The Tzedukim were in the time of the temple. The Karayim say our tradition goes back to the Tzedukim, but when you research it, you see that it's not the same. They don't have the same philosophy.
It's much deeper.
Yeah. The Karayim were neo-Tzedukim.
The modern.
So here we're saying what is the status of the Tzeduki women? So we say it depends if they're following their own traditions, Tzeduki traditions, and they're kutim. Partial alechas b'darchi Yisrael, if they switch over to the ways of the Jewish people, Arian ki Yisraelis, then they're considered Yisraelis. Okay. There's a vagueness in the Mishnah. The vagueness is, what if they didn't do anything? What is it, minastam? What are they? Here we just said the two extremes. If they say that they're following their fathers, then good. If they say they're following Israel, then good. What about if they don't say anything? That's the vagueness of it. Rabbi Yosi says, they're always considered like a regular Jewish woman, unless they state clearly that they're not. Now, the Gemara is going to explain that from Rabbi Yosi, we'll be able to understand the opinion of the Tanakama, that they say exactly the opposite. Yes?
What's this today?
I don't think there's such a thing. It would be similar to the Karaites, but I don't think it exists.
Well, closest thing to them would be Baptists. No, they follow the written law, but they don't have an oral tradition. They have their own. I don't mean that as a joke.
Right.
Don't give him anything because he's mistaken. Don't.
I don't see it.
Because they're not Jew. This is considered as Jew. That's looking.
Right.
Okay. I'll just
The Gemara has a question. Stamamai. What is if they don't say anything? Tashima, come and listen. If they follow, if the daughters of the Kutim follow their father's tradition, then they're considered Kuti. Stama, but if they don't say anything, Israelis, then they're considered Jewish. See? We have an answer. It's only if they follow their father's tradition that they're Kutiyas. But if not, Stam, then they're Jewish. Ema Seifa, let's read the end. If they follow the Jewish tradition, they're in Kisraelis, then they're considered Jewish. Hastama, but if they don't say anything to Kutiyas, then they're like Kuti. So you have This is called diyukim seisrim. If you look at the Reisha, the implication is one thing. You look at the Sefer, the implication is exactly the opposite. So you can't, it's contradictory implication. So it says, from this we're not going to get anywhere. Because it takes you back and forth. It leaves you without an answer. So in other words, what we're looking for here is, what if these girls don't say anything? Are they considered Jewish or are they considered Kuti? They're neither. They're Tzeduki. But if they don't say anything, what status would they have? So Tashma, come and listen. The Tanan is taught in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yosi says, this is our Mishnah. Rabbi Yosi says, and Rabbi Yosi is Rabbi Yosi ben Chalafta, La'ilam hin ki Yisraelis, they're always considered Jewish until they decide to be not Jewish, to follow their father's tradition. What does that mean? That's Rabbi Yosi's opinion. Rabbi Yosi has a positive view on Tzedukim, girls. He said that minastam, they're probably okay unless you hear otherwise. Michlal, this implies the Tanakam Saverstam Kikutiyes, that the Tanakam would hold exactly the opposite, a negative view on Tzeduki girls, and he would say that if they don't say anything, then they're like Kutiyes. Okay, Shmamina, this is a good raya.
They have a chazaka as a tzeduki, so unless they state otherwise, they should remain that chazaka.
So in other words, the Tanakama's position seems more correct.
Exactly.
Maybe this Bais will clarify things. You have a good point. We have a story. There was a tzeduki, Shesiperim Kohen Gadol Bashuk, that was talking to a Kohen Gadol in the marketplace. While he's talking, a little bit of spit came out of his mouth, and it went on the Kohen Gadol's clothing. This could happen. People are talking and it goes on their face. Yeah, okay, it went on his clothing. Okay. However, so you remember the lessons?
Not to sit in front row.
That could be a lesson. Okay. The Hiriku Panav Shel Kohen Gadol, and the Kohen Gadol's face turns green because he becomes tamei. Because it's spit from a tzeduki. Let's see what's going on over here. So, he goes to his wife. Amrallah, he says to her, I'm sorry, Amrallah, she says to him, even though they're wives of tzedukim, they're afraid of the Perushim. Who are the Perushim? The rabbis, the Pharisees. And they show their blood to the Chachamim to make sure that it's either Tamei or Tar, which means that they don't have the Kuti issue. The Kuti issue was that the women don't show their blood to the sages, and they consider everything Tamei, which means that all their calculations are messed up, which means that they're Tamei probably times when they don't think that they really are. And so you have to consider them all Nidda, because when they went to the mikveh, it's not good. But here, we're saying that this woman is saying that no, Tzeduki women are afraid of the Pharisees, and they show their blood to the Nidda blood, and they make sure that they're doing it accurately, correctly.
Who were the Chachamim?
The Purim. To the rabbis that know the difference between the different bloods. Okay. Now, I was vague when I translated Ishtay, that he went to his wife, because I didn't say which wife he went to. Did he go to his wife or did he go to the Tzeduki's wife? So all the Rishonim say that he went to the Tzeduki's wife. And he asked her if she shows her blood to the rabbis, or if she just makes decisions on her own. And the question on that is that why should she be believed? Why should this woman be believed? You ask her, we suspect that she's not observant. And you ask her, and she says yes. So this was like the only way to know if a man is honest is to ask him. If he says yes, he's a liar. Like how do you determine what she's saying? So the Aruch LaNer learns the Kohen Gadol goes to his own wife. And because all the women are always chatting on WhatsApp and Facebook and all of that, they know what's going on in everyone's house. And she says that no, you should know that they're tzedukah wives, but they still go to the rabbis with their questions. So he says that if not for all the Rishonim saying differently, this is the pshat that he would say. Okay, they have this expression like "Lule de Mistafina." If I wouldn't be afraid, I would say this new interpretation. Anyway,
because
okay.
also it doesn't sound very common, right? To go talk
well,
to the
the Kadam Itzalishta, he goes to his wife. You could read either one in because it's a pronoun it doesn't say who it is. What reads better is Afal Pishin Ashet Tzedukim Hain, even though they are. It should have said we are. You see that? It was even Afal Pishin Ashet Tzedukim Anu. Doesn't say that. Okay. What was the concern here? That maybe he was a Bayal Nida. He lives with his wife that doesn't keep the laws properly, which means that his wife is a Nida. The Tumah of a Nida goes on him, and he spat, and it went on the Kohen Gadol. His spit of a Bayal Nida would make the Kohen Gadol Tameh. And so it turns out that no, that he's fine. Amar Rabbi Yosi. Yosi says, we know these guys, women, wives of Tzedukim. We know them the best because they live in our neighborhood. They always show the blood to the rabbis. Except for one woman that didn't, and she's dead already, so we're good. The rest are fine. So you don't have to worry about them. I don't know if he's attributing her death to her behavior, but whatever he's doing, he's saying that they're not. Don't worry. The taper clay. There's another issue here. The taper clay mishum tzenari da'amaretz. Amaretz is translated as an ignoramus, but really an amaretz is a special category of people that did not observe the laws of purity, and you had to suspect that they were tamei even when they weren't. So you had to they attributed to them that maybe they were zav and all of this. If that's the case, then when spit from a zav also makes a person tamei. So now it's not, he's not a zav, he's just an amaretz, but he's a tzeduki, and just say he's an amaretz. And his spit from amaretz would make a kohen gadol tamei. Why do you have to find out if he's a bayal nida, if his wife does the right calculations? This anyways a problem, huh?
This is the story that happened.
This is the story that happened. Why doesn't the kohen gadol become tamei? Because the tzeduki is just not keeping the laws of purity himself, not because his wife isn't keeping those severe laws of nida properly, but always in amaretz, it's a tribute to them. Amar Rabbi, the tzeduki chaver. No, this was a type of tzeduki that kept the laws of purity. He was he was careful with the laws of purity. Amar Rava, tzeduki chaver bayal nida mashvislei. On one hand, he's a chaver, keeps the laws of purity, and at the same time, you're afraid that maybe his wife is a nida and he's living with a nida. What kind of mixed up person is this? Is what laws of purity is he keeping if his wife is a nida? And Rava, rather Rava says regel haba. It was the holiday. The tumas amaretz beregel kitar shavinu rabbanan. You see, an amaretz is not really tamei. The rabbi said that you have to suspect that they're tamei, but when it comes to the holiday season, so they don't make them considered tamei because maybe they went to the mikveh, they purified themselves for the holiday and all of that. So we're not concerned about tumas amaretz, that he's just an ignoramus, but we are still concerned about tumas bayal nida. So for that we ascertain that that's okay. Now, how do you know that tumas amaretz beregel is okay? The ksiv, it's written, the yesav kalish yisrael alayir ki yeshechad chaverim, kasav asad kol chaverim. The pasuk says, this is talking about when the Jewish people gathered together to ostracized the tribe of Binyamin after the story with the Pelegish. There was this man that was traveling and they didn't give him a place to stay. One person took him in and they wanted to kill him and they ended up raping his concubine until she died. And he cut up the body of the concubine and sent it to all the tribes into 12 pieces. And then they ostracized the tribe of Binyamin because of what they did. So when they gathered together to do that, then they went to war. They lost a few times and then they won. But when they gathered together to do that, so it says that they gathered together, all the Jewish people, ki ish echad chaverim, all together as chaverim. Now the term chaverim means that they kept the laws of purity. Now when the Jewish people gathered together, then we don't consider them tamei. Then they're considered as pure. Okay. We have a Mishnah, a new Mishnah. Dam Evedes Kechavim. By the way, this is not a halacha share. Dam Evedes Kechavim. Dam Tara Shel Mitzayra. The blood of a non-Jewish woman. We've been discussing women that are on the fringe. Akuti. We just did the last Mishnah was Tzeduki. Now we're going to a non-Jewish woman. Her blood is really not tamei because she's not Jewish. She doesn't have the laws of Nidda, all of this. So it's not tamei. However, we'll see. The damtara shel mitziras. Now, a woman that's a mitzayra, and she gave birth. After she gives birth, she has a certain amount of days that the blood is pure. 33 days if it's a male, 66 days if it's a female. Now the blood that's coming out of a mitzayra, well, usually what comes out of a mitzayra is considered tamei. But this is this is unique because this is tara blood that's coming out of a mitzayra. So a Jewish woman is a mitzayra, right? So Beis Shammai mitarin. Beis Shammai says that both of these cases are tar. The blood of a Evedes Kechavim and the blood tara of a Jewish woman that's a mitzayra. Has a special status. These two bloods have a status. Right.
And here is you're talking about Kuti too, no?
No. Over there, it's a Jewish woman. A kuti, we said, would be someone that we had to suspect that they were Jewish. We have to go according to that opinion. Right? How could they be a Nidda if they're not Jewish? There's a machlekes about kuti. That Mishnah would have to go according to the opinion that says that they're Gerei Emes. Yeah. And then later on, it's established. So that Mishnah was an earlier Mishnah. Later on, it was taken away. So Beis Hillel says, it's a good point though. Beis Hillel says he doesn't need the coffee. Beis Hillel says that it's a special status. Someone that's tamei. The tumah that yotzes migufa, a tumah that comes from a person's body. So his spit and his urine is also tamei while it's wet, not while it's dry. So Beis Hillel says that this blood is also going to give off tumah when they're wet and when only when they're wet, not when they're dry. Okay. The Gemara is going to go through what the real issues over here are, and what it has to do with is that what it has to do is like this. We don't want children hanging around with non-Jewish people because we're concerned of homosexuality. We want to make the laws of impurity implied on the non-Jews. That concern if we do that, that could lead to other issues, and which is that if you put the laws of impurity on them rabbinically, because biblically they don't have those laws, then you may end up burning truma, which is not allowed to be burnt because it's not really impure. So we have to always make distinctions when we apply those laws of impurity. So what's happening here is machlekes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. If you're going to apply the laws of impurity onto these types of bloods, that it's really not necessary to make that the law right there. Is that going to be enough? Are we still going to have distinctions between a non-Jew and a Jew that we should be able to know that this is not a real biblical law, that's only rabbinic law? Beis Hillel says it's enough to make the distinction that this blood is only going to be tamei when it's wet. That's a good enough distinction. Beis Shammai says no, we don't make it tamei at all. With this blood, we don't make it tamei at all. This is an interesting case. You see, a woman that gives birth, she's tamei 7 days or 14 days, but she's supposed to go to the mikveh. She doesn't go to the mikveh, and then the blood after the 14 days, the blood comes out. What about that blood? Is that blood tamei? We're not talking about her now. She's tamei until she goes to the mikveh, but is the blood considered blood tamei? Beis Shammai says that blood is kareiko k'mei regla. Beis Shammai says, you see, it's dam tar, but she didn't go to the mikveh, so that's like she's still tamei. So that's like her spit and her urine. It's a tumah midirabanan of we're applying to this blood tumah midirabanan, and we're making a distinction that it's only going to give off tumah when it's wet, not when it's dry. It's not a tumah midirabanan; it's a tumah miraisa. It still holds until she goes to the mikveh. The blood is tamei. Not just her, but the blood is also tamei. She could go to the mikveh and the blood would be tar because it's dam tar. But she didn't do that. So Beis Hillel says to get the blood tar, you need two things.
It's not a case of Hillel and Shammai like common. These little Shammai is looking at where she's going. Hillel's looking where
The Shammai is looking at just the days, not what she does. Beis Hillel says that there's two aspects here. There's the days, the time of her when she gave birth, and she also needs to go to the mikveh. In order for that, she makes it.
Shammai holds also that she's going to mikveh. She's going to go to the mikveh.
Oh, you're saying because later on she's going to. I hear you. Very good. Very good. He's saying that there's a machlekes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel by Chanukah, if you count down the potential or how much you have. So here, because she potentially could go to the mikveh and be tar, so Beis Shammai says that she's only tamei rabbinically. It's only a rabbinic law. Beis Hillel says that no, the fact is she didn't go, so she's tamei biblically. Very good. What happened? We ran out of trophies? Okay. But they agree if she gave birth during the days of Ziva, she metamalach the yavish, that she's tamei biblically, lach and yavish, wet and dry, whether that the blood is tamei, wet or dry. Okay, the Gemara has a question like this. Follow along when we read this Gemara. We're going to quote a Brisa. We're going to quote a Brisa, but the proof is not from the beginning of the Brisa. The proof is from the end of the Brisa. But less of the Beis Shammai, does Beis Shammai not hold? To hold your breath now. Dabral b'nei Esav martelim yishish ki Esav. Speak to the Jewish people and tell them that any man that's Esav, in the Bais says b'nei Yisrael metam b'ziva, that only Jewish people become tamei with ziva. Beinoiv de'kachav metam b'ziva, but a non-Jew can't become tamei b'ziva. Aval gazra aleim shit Esav l'chol devrayim. But the rabbis decreed that they're considered like Esav, that there is a rabbinic impurity that's placed on them. Does Beis Shammai not hold that there's a rabbinic impurity that's placed on a non-Jew? Amach Beishamai responds, and that decree was because of homosexuality. Beishamai responds, well, first we have a Gemara here that's taken out. That's only by males. But let's skip that. It says, Beishamai says, what do you want to do? If you want to make them tamei with their blood that comes from them is going to be tamei, whether it's wet and dry, then you're making it like the biblical law. That's a problem. If it's the same exact law as the biblical law, then truma is going to be burnt if truma comes in contact with it, and truma can't be burnt because it's only rabbinic. So you have to make some distinction so that everyone should know that. If you want to make it only wet, only tummy when it's wet, but not tummy when it's dry, then you're going to think that when a Jewish woman also has this blood, that her tumah is also only when it's wet and when it's dry. So you're going to confuse everyone else. So therefore we say that it's totally tar. That's Beishamai's explanation. Where it says, 1 second. So why the spit? Do you say tummy? You see it's strange over here. A spit and urine of a non-Jewish woman is yes tummy when it's wet. And spit of a Jewish woman is also tummy when it's wet. If she's says Dov or Nidda. So we're asking, so if you're going to make her tamei, if you're going to make it, we're asking on Bisham, if you're going to make this non-Jewish woman tahar, so that you shouldn't confuse her with the Jewish woman. So why do you make her tamei by the spit and by the urine? It's only by the blood that you're doing this. The Gemara says it's not necessary. Even the Avdina Nekerer B'dama made the other direct Meiragla, the Rabbanon. It's obvious. Once we've taken care of a valid distinction between a rabbinic law and a biblical law, which we do that by saying that her blood is not tamei, even rabbinically. So that way, as we know that this woman, all her tumah is only rabbinic. So then we're good to go. Then we can say other things are tamei rabbinically, and we won't confuse them by burning truma. The Gemara says, so why did you choose to make one thing tamei, to make one thing tar, to make that distinction? And what was the distinction? He said her blood is tar, her spit and urine is tamei. Do it the other way. Say her blood is tamei and her spit and urine is tar, and that way that we'll have the distinction. We'll be able to recognize that she's not tamei midaraisa. The Gemara says, it's more common to have spit and urine. The decree wasn't put on the blood. It's less common. It goes into those hazardous waste things. So they didn't make the decree on that. The spit, they spit on the floor. People are going to say, oh, don't go, they have a disease or something, stay away from them. So you could get
people who spit on the floor.
No, we're trying to keep people away from keep the children away from the non-Jewish people. So we shouldn't hang out because the spit is tamei. Right.
Because they spit on the floor. So what did Miss Nagum say?
I hear an Aleino complaint. Stop spitting in shul. I went into a shul in California, and the rabbi walks over to me and says, "I see you're a Lubavitcher. Over here, you don't spit on the floor." It's like Shalom Aleichem. So okay. There was no introduction.
I went in the show once. I think I mentioned a long time, and they had a sign with "Make Kushat Hamakama." It's there. I slowly wrote that. Really a sign.
It's okay if you step on it.
So
And a sign.
There was this discussion in the conservative movement that there's too much intermarriage. And someone said that why is it by the Orthodox they don't talk about how bad intermarriage is. It's not like by every Thanksgiving dinner, like they're saying, don't marry out, like the grandmother was warning that they don't do that. And by the conservative, they're doing it all the time, don't marry out. And they're failing, the people are marrying out. So they said like this, they said, you're making a mistake. They talk about it a lot more than you think. You can't drink wine together. You can't eat the bread. You can't eat anything that they cook. So it's being spoken about, but it's implied. It's built in. And over here, when it comes to the tumah, impurity, it was a huge issue. Okay. Amarava. Zoivai tamei afilu lebeshamai. Rabbi says, we said according to Bais Shammai that this woman's blood is tahar, but by a man, if he has ziva, that fluid that comes out is going to be tamei. Bais Shammai is going to agree to that. Kiryai tahar afilu Beis Hillel, but Beis Hillel that said that there is tamah in the woman, but the keri, which is shichva zera, is going to be tahar. Okay, now we have to go through this to explain. Bais Shammai agrees that there's what's the difference the Shechva Zera and Zav? It's very similar. I think one of them is more cloudy. The other one is white. The other one is more cloudy. I think that's what it says. But whatever the case is, so there's a problem over here because he's really not Tameh. It's a non-Jewish person. There's really no tumah there. How can you just say straight out that he's tameh? You may end up burning truma, and it's only rabbinic. So it says no. We have a distinction that if it's shechva zera, if it's just regular semen and an emission, so then he's going to be tar entirely. So we already have a distinction to know that the tumah of the zav is going to be only rabbinic. But kiryai tar afilu Beis Hillel, the keri is tar even according to Beis Hillel. Why? Avad be'Rabbanan akera. The Rabbanan have to make a distinction. Ki heichid le'lisref le'truma v'kachim. To make sure there has to be some sort of distinction to make sure that truma and kachim isn't burned because of a non-Jew's fluids that come out of it. The Gemara asks, well, maybe do it the other way. Make the keri tamei, which that's probably more frequent, which would be a good reason to make it tamei, and make the zav tar. It says zayvei l'tali b'maisa. Zav comes involuntary. Thank you. So it goes to Bei Rabbanan. The rabbis made a decree on that. But kiri the talib b'maisa shechva zera, which is voluntary, a person can cause that. It does cause that. So then, like goes to Bei Rabbanan on that, they didn't make the decree. What is the logic for that? Do you have any notes why that's logical? Is that because that way they'll stay away more because they don't have any control over it? Maybe that's the logic. Wow. Yeah, I see that. That's so counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
totally b'maisa, so it's not considered later. Okay, who's saying that? Wow.
You repeat that in English.
Yeah.
The mumbling part.
What he said was that we asked why did they make a decree on Zav. Oh, that's pure. And if you're trying to keep people away from a non-Jew, you keep them away by saying that they're tamei. So why make it on what seems to be less frequent for the Zav? They're saying no. He says because the zav comes, because shechva zera comes only by the person's actions. What he does, he has to cause it to emit, to come out. So then it's less common, less frequent. And then the next thing that he said was that anything that takes action cannot be considered a majority. Doesn't have, if it takes action for it to happen, it's not considered that's so frequent. I guess it's the same idea.
Because you're into the statistics. I mean, because,
Yeah, you're doing it.
yeah. Why don't you just say that by children, what's more common is it happens involuntarily as they go through puberty, and if your whole worry, the rabbinic worries, they shouldn't be near.
That's a very interesting point. The only thing that the reason why it may not be is because we weren't concerned about. I don't know if it's the concern of the children of the non-Jew or the adults of the non-Jew. If we were concerned about children hanging around with non-Jewish children, then that would be a good point. But I think we were concerned also about children hanging around with the adults.
I don't understand. How do you
Men.
know if he's a Zav or this? You go and you ask him. Do you trust the guy?
No, here we're talking about the actual fluids. He didn't have the same disposable things. He went into someone's house. There was clothing there. There was things hanging around. I mean, they didn't have this like everything.
So
gets
what's
flushed
the question? You see it with your eyes, or you're just suspecting?
You suspect that it's around no, you would have to see it. You would have to see it, but because you don't know what you're gonna touch, you touch it, and then that was it. So
It's like going into a porta potty.
right.
Oh, gross. You see what we see?
That's what created this separation, because now you have to be concerned.
Okay. Lema Messiah, let's bring a proof. The Gemara suggests that we could bring a proof.
Put the jacket back on.
I read this Keichavim. Look at this story. Look at this. There's two cases here. I read this Keichavim Shapalta Shechvazer Yisrael, a non-Jewish girl that semen from a Jewish man comes out of her. You know what happened before that, but now it's coming out. So it's Tmeya. It's considered Tamei. Bas Yisrael, what about a Jewish girl? Shapalta Shechvazer Menachem Kechavim. That the Shechvazer from a non-Jew comes out of her. That's Tahira. Okay, what are we seeing over here? That the non-Jewish Shechvazer is tar. My love, Torah Gemara must be tar entirely. That's a proof that the Shechvazer is tar. The Gemara says, "La yitar midaraisa tmei midarabanan." You can't bring a proof from that. You don't know what it means. It means tar. Maybe it means tar midaraisa, but it's tamei midarabanan.
In other words, she's not Nidda.
She's not.
The Nidda is not
No, but here
Nidda.
we're talking about the actual substance, not her. The substance is
So
the
what's
substance
tar?
tamei. So we're saying that the substance is going to be tar. We thought it was a proof that it's tar midaraisa, because a non-Jew, we thought that it's tar lagami, even midarabanan. That would be a proof to what we just said, Bais and all of that. So Rabbi's din comes out. We don't really have a proof. Tashma, we'll try again. Nimtza Saimer, what comes out from this is Shechva Zera Shel Yisrael Tmeya B'chal Makkah, and that means that Shechva Zera of a Jewish person is always tamei. It doesn't matter what it's being held in. A Jewish woman or a non-Jewish woman. Even if it's in a non-Jewish woman, and from a non-Jew, it's always tar. Even in a Jewish woman, except if together with the shechva zera there are droplets of urine. Oh, now that's a problem, because we said that the urine of a non-Jew is tamei. So if in the shechva zera there's these droplets, that would be tamei. And now, if you want to say hachinami, you see that little add-in that we just gave about those droplets, that tells me that we're dealing with the derabanan. And so therefore, when we say that it's tahar, then that means that it must be tar midirabanan as well. See, that's the giveaway. If you want to say that this is talking about midaraisa, that it's tar, but really midarabanan, there's a kriyabel to me, midarabanan, not to miragla midaraisa mimatamu. Are you going to say, it's supposed to be miragla, not regular. If you're going to say that the urine is tamei minatayra, that's what we're talking about. It can't be. It's all midarabanan. So therefore, when we say tar, al shma minatayra feeling midarabanan, shma mina, this is a good proof to Rabbi. Amar Mar, we learned before, Shechva Zera Shal Yisrael Tameya B'chol Makim. Shechva Zera of a Jew is always Tameya. Afila B'meya Redis Kechavim. Even if it's in the body of a non-Jewish woman. Tifshir to Boy Rav Papa. Let's answer a question from Rav Papa. The Boy Rav Papa, this is quoted in Chassidus. This is the following. Rav Papa asked the question. If there is Shechva Zera of a Jew that's inside the womb of a non-Jewish woman, Mao, what's the din? We know that it's going to be tamei for the first 3 days, because what happens is that it rots, or it becomes not viable. It rots after 3 days. So the first 3 days we know that it's tamei. Now, Rav Papa didn't have a question about that. This question is after 3 days. Now, normally after 3 days it would rot. What's it din? Yisrael the daigi b'mitzvahs. Yisrael that's always anxious because he has anxiety, because he has all the 613 mitzvahs that he's always trying to fulfill, and all the issues, netilas yadayim properly with it, it's a spot under the nails and the thing, hechsherim and everything that he's worried about.
I don't know.
He's worried about.
Did he bring a sweater?
Yeah, well, if there's sharpness in the seat that he's sitting on, he has all of these concerns. So chavel gufayo, his body gets warmed from his anxiety. Umasriach, it's here we're talking about the woman, and therefore because it's the Shechva Zera rots after 3 days in that warm body. But a non-Jewish person, they have no anxiety. They walk around calm. There's nothing to worry about. No stress. So I've seen this in the Frida Rebbe, the Chavel Gufaya. So
You're swallowing it?
So they don't have any.
No. 37. One comment.
So they don't have any. They don't have any warmth in the body. Or maybe but maybe because they eat these creeping creatures. I don't know what whatever, lobsters or whatever. That's not exactly the translation. Chavel gufayu, their body gets warmed. Masriach. So in other words, the question is, did their diet replace the warmth that the stress has on a Jewish person, and maybe the Shechva Zera that's inside will rot in the same amount of time as if it would be inside a Jewish woman. Teiku. We leave this as an unresolved question.
And then when the
I
camera's
don't
off.
understand.
No.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
But I will tell you, my father told me he was at a speech from Emmanuel Jacobowitz, Lord Jacobowitz, and it was about the dangers of smoking and halacha. And in the middle of the speech, he takes out a pipe and starts to puff on it. And he said something. I may be confusing two stories, but he said that all the point is that all the studies that were done on people that smoke 7 days a week, not on people that give 1 day off. So that's one variable, maybe could clean the lungs and whatever. Okay. Dam tara shel mitzeras. I'm not. There's no suggestions over here. There's not.
Disclaimer.
There's a big Marlboro.
Sponsored by Marlboro.
Cowboys in.
But I should tell you on this topic that when they tell you the studies. Miyala Bahar Hashem. How does it start off? What does that start off? No, the David Mizmar, Lashem Haaretz Mlaya Tevel V'Yeshiva. It's talking about that the earth, it's above the, talking about the science. But then it goes on to discuss the scientists. The Kichapayim of our Levav, that all the studies have to be accurate, otherwise. Okay. My time at the Beis Hillel. What is the reason for Beis Hillel? Beis Hillel said that it's tamei only when it's tamei when it's wet, not when it's. Let's tell me when it's wet, not when it's dry. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak says like this. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. L'zachar. It says in the pasuk l'zachar l'nekeva. When it says that, this is the laws of a zach of a zav and a zava l'zachar l'nekeva. The Rabbi's mitzvah l'maynaisa l'nekeva. The Rabbi's mitzvah l'maynaisa. It's coming to include that if a mitzvah has urine or spit, that also is coming. My minus when we said over here that a woman mitzayras, that her urine and spit is tummy, what are we talking about? My yonis means her fountains. But if
sneezing is also be considered.
Right,
sure.
Right.
So people run like a plague if someone sneezes.
Right.
Direct contact.
That's why the Kohen Gadol was very nervous.
Yeah. He could have caught the tumah flu. Okay, Eily are we talking about just spit and urine? That we already said, that spit and urine. That's the same as in a woman, the same as a man. If it says mizachar, so that we would know already. It doesn't have to say lenekeva. Ela ladama. We're talking about something that's unique to a woman. It must be the blood. The tami dam tara shala. What we're saying is that a mitzayra that has dam tara, that's going to be tamei midai raisa. That's a source for Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai says nekeva mizacha leyasi. You can't learn a man from a woman from a man. You never learn that anyway. So therefore, it needs to say by a woman that spit and urine is tummy. You can ask primo frima. A woman, a man needs to have his hair grow if he's a mitzayra. It's machlekes Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Lazar. He needs to have his hair grow or have his hair cut. That's priya. Prima is clothing that he puts on needs to be torn. And he's not allowed to have relations with mitzayra. A woman doesn't have those halachas. It's a special din. So you can't learn a man from a woman anyway. So it has to say lenekeva. We don't know the blood of a tara. What does Beis Hillel say? Lichtav rachmana benekeva by zachar. Say it only by the woman, and automatically we'll know if a woman doesn't have those halachas, and nevertheless she's tamei for sure by the man. And I would say manakeva shenatuna primo prima v'inasur b'tashna Rabbi rachmana ma'neseh. If such a person, her spit and urine is tamei, zachal lekolshkein, for sure by a man it's going to be tamei. So it doesn't have to say it. Once it doesn't need to say it, so apply it to the woman. It doesn't need to say spit and urine because that's by the man anyway. So we'll apply it to her blood, to make her blood pure blood tamei if she's a mitzvah. You can't learn a man from a woman. A nekeva, her blood is always tamei. A zachar is not tamei, is a zav. It's not tamei if it doesn't become a zav if there's reason for the shechva zera to come out, whatever it was. Beis Hillel kaimi b'mitzayra uparchi mili dezav. Beis Hillel says that I'm not sure if I should rush this. Beis Hillel says, look, Beis Shammai just said you can't learn a man from a woman. Why? Because by a zav it's different. It says we're not talking about a zav. We're talking about a mitzayra. It says Beis Shammai shum tuma parchi. It's still tamei, and we can compare them, and you can ask the question. If you want, you could say Amilach Beis Shammai hay lezachar mibay lezachar kol shu zachar bein gadol bein katan. It's what we did before. The word lezachar we need for other things to say that even if he's a child. Beis Hillel nafkul mizay teres hazav bein gadol bein katan. Beis Hillel says I have another source for that, which leaves zachar extra, which tells me that in a keva, her blood is going to be tamei even when even when it's Dam Tar, if she's a Mitzvah. Okay, we'll leave it over here.
Okay, we're there.
Right.
Blood I understand. Spit I understand.